is going to be high octane. You will be hitting turbulence quick smart when we jump into this series. This is a battle of two titans, the behemoths of Team Liquid going up against the giants of NIP, making them both look slightly more normal sized. Liquid will be starting off on attack and NIP will be on defense for this one, Tim.
Heading into those operator bans there, Nomad will be the first one off the board. Is that a little indication? Is that a little signal to us that we are going to see some aggressive play coming out? One way or another, it will help the roamers. We've already spoken about the roam game on Coastline and how it can be difficult. Only 2 staircases on the map, so with a Nomad in play, 2 air jabs, and that is it. You cannot rotate back upstairs particularly. You've always got the option to drop the courtyard if you want to move from top floor down to bottom, if you try to escape, if you get yourself trapped up there on a roam, but it largely is easy to control one level or the other. But without the Nomad, that will become a little bit more tricky. We might see Gridlock being brought along as an alternative, or at the bare minimum, we will likely see Claymores being brought along to try and achieve the same thing. But Hibana, Maestro, Valkyrie will make up the bans there. No major surprises on either side. Hibana is banned out generally because she can open up from the rooftop, up the quadruple wall that looks onto the bar in the billiards room, and it just prevents the smoke from playing in there. So it's a really sort of key pivotal point, is that. So generally speaking, we see a very high ban percentage for Hibana on Coastline for that reason.
Oh, mate. And obviously, you know, the other beneficial factor of Nomad not being in play, it means today's going to be a good day because you won't have to use your AK when we get into the server. And it is certainly going to be a good day if the opening series was anything to go off. We have had close calls, crazy plays, clutches going down to a 1 versus 1 to decide who will be staying in the upper bracket and who will go down to the lower bracket. And of course, that is the question we are fighting for an answer for here again tonight. It's another best of 3, but the outcome will decide who stays up and goes on to fight FaZe Clan in the upper bracket and who drops down, removing the safety net and meaning we will be seeing them face off as Team 1 at the end of the night tonight to see who gets knocked out of the competition and who moves slightly further forward in their lower bracket slog. That's why this series is very, very important, and that's why it really is spicing up now. We're going into our second semi-final. So get ready for this, because I imagine this one is going to shake you to your core.
I think it's going to shake the earth to its core, to be honest with you, Jackie. We saw these two teams face off on play day 1. It was the opening matchup for them. And it went 24 rounds. It went all the way, and we could not separate the two. It was 6-0, 6-0, and that was Clubhouse and Oregon that we saw on the day. Now, looking specifically at Coastline, NIP, just to paint a picture for you, NIP do have the better record here. Played 1, won once. Liquid played once, lost once. So NIP, they need to come in strong here. They have started on the defense, and as I commented previously, we tend to see the attacking side doing a little bit better here on Coastline. So if NIP can get themselves a strong start, they're going to be very happy with that coming into the second half, because they're going to feel like they've got a major advantage then when they get onto that attacking side.
All right, well, opening round of the competition here on Coastline, but which team's going to be coasting closer to an opening round victory? That is the big question that is on the tip of our tongue at this point. Obviously, Team Liquid starting off here on the attack. Will they be able to bombard their way in, swing their weight around, and will we see the classic damaging duo of Nesk and Palu popping off to open it up? We know how damn proficient they have been throughout the season. It does kind of seem like they compete against one another in terms of being on the same side. We still see them really popping off and trying to see who will have those highest body counts at the end of games. Every member of the Team Liquid side can normally do a fair amount of damage. Let's see if they will be doing some of that damage into this opening round. No contact has been found yet. NIP playing very slow, as they are going to be holding themselves back, effectively turtling into the opening round, not wanting to give away any free frags and forcing Liquid to make the first mistake.
Styko just opening up the rotation there with the impact grenades of the Vigil, just looking to see if he can get himself an angle back into sight potentially. Now, this is a site on the Events that NIP are unbeaten on so far. We don't have a huge amount of data to work from. They've only played this map once, but they did successfully defend this site twice during that matchup. 100% win rate for them. So Team Liquid, they're going to have to overturn the odds to begin with, and they are well alive. Nesk was just waiting for that. It was as if he predicted it. Pino going for that big entry that we've said he's so capable of bringing for NIP, but will be completely shut down by Nesk there. Great plays from the Ash, and already the Toxic Babe canisters, they are raining out. Only 20 seconds left to go though. Team Liquid, they need to get a big move on here. That time is ticking away, and they have not got any significant control over the site. Palu looks to move in and does what Palu does best, gets a tough kill onto a difficult operator. Kamikaze just prone, located in the corner. That allows PSK into that safe space that I said Liquid are so good at creating. Ness gets himself 2 more. That's a triple on the round. Diffuser down and active. 3 versus 1 now. Julio has got it all to do. He's on the pulse. He doesn't have time to get that heartbeat scanner out. He can't risk coming out of his ADS and into that gadget. It will leave him far too vulnerable. And right now, he has got about 20 seconds left to get 3 kills or allow himself onto the diffuser. There's one. There's a man on the window. Will shut him down. And that is going to be the first round to Team Liquid. And what a great round from them. 10 seconds left to go when they moved into sight. Palu just creating that safe space for PSK. And he knows exactly what to do with those safe spaces.
Genuinely, Ace. As soon as we got left in that position where it was the 1vx and you're looking at it, I see Julio, last man alive. My eyes flick to his inventory. I'm looking through. I see the nitro. Yeah. As soon as I spotted it, I was like, hang on a minute. We've seen the quality of play this man's been serving up. We know how deadly he can be with those detonations. And I was thinking, you know, are the cogs going to start turning? Then he hits the opening shot onto the Ash. It's like, there's a possibility here. They gave him the chances with the angles that were being played. It was almost the 1v1 fights that were gifted across. But in the end, Liquid do lock it down. They hit him with a stunner, they leave him down on the ground, and they open it up with the first round. A very slow, poised Liquid there as well. Not too quick on the attack, not charging in, not doing anything audacious. They realised that NIP were playing that very slow strategic game that we've seen classically on their defense, so they countered it nicely. They took their time. They didn't run into the unknown, didn't really face check too much. Then, when they had to kick it into second gear, they send in Palu to just start kicking off. He finds a frag, and of course, you've got your main man in Nesk. And if you want to send him in to find entry kills, he's going to do it every time.
It's an interesting point that you make about the pace of the attack, Jackie. Coming in here, we are looking at 2 of the slower teams in the overall standings if we look at average round time for the regular season of the LATAM region. We've got Team Liquid up there at 2 minutes and 43 as an average round time, and then we've got NIP coming in not much quicker at 2 minutes and 41, and it is something that we've commented for both teams has cost them rounds here and there, and for everybody watching at home, it's something to keep an eye on today. How does it impact them coming in for those last 15 or second executes? Because you leave yourself no margin for error. If it goes wrong, it is round lost, and that's something NIP particularly have suffered to over the course of the season.
Beautiful way to start off the day though here for Liquid. They're going to be content with the opener. Let's see Coastline. We didn't get too much of it throughout the regular season, but the games we've been gifted here so far through the major, albeit just one of them, it was a hell of a banger. And this sets to be somewhat along the same vein. Definitely seems like it's cut from the same cloth with the quality of play we've already seen coming out, leaving it hanging on a thread, essentially, for the opening round. What's the second round going to be like? Where are we going to go from here? As initially the pushes are starting to come back out. Of course, tearing down those barricades and just droning in early, making full use of the timing. Actually, they've got the Lion to benefit them as well. So if they do peek up off the back of the nades rolling in, forcing Julio into an awkward position, it probably should have been the free frag. He somehow stays alive into that encounter, though, and keeps himself honed in behind the bar.
1 minute 30 left to go, and we find ourselves still 5 versus 5, but surely only for a matter of seconds now. Pino, it will be this time to open up the kills onto Sexy Cake, much more consistent with what we have seen from him during the regular season, but Team Liquid, they're on hand. Nesk and Moringa managed to get themselves 1 apiece, and that will put the man advantage in their favour. 4 versus 3, 1 minute 5 left on the clock, and Team Liquid and both NIP on the attack as well. When we get to that point, they need to learn something from that season, and that is to just, I think, speed up a little bit and try to get executes coming in more around the 30-25 second mark to give themselves that wiggle room, that if something doesn't pan out perfectly to plan, it gives them that opportunity to take a backward step and maybe just make a quick adaptation to whatever the plan is. But right now, 35 seconds, we find ourselves on the board and still 4 versus 3. The EE1D scan will not support any major push coming in from Team Liquid there, just freezes the defenders into their footsteps for a minute in time, but they are back alive now. Kitchen is just being sectioned off from external angles with the potential of PSK getting inside and getting that diffuser down. He is going to move into the smoke. It's something that we've seen popular from Team Liquid. Neski's trying to do everything he can to get an angle to cover him here, but the smoke grenades are just making that difficult. However, the diffuser does go down. No meaningful challenge coming into that plant from NIP. 30 seconds left and lots of work for the defenders to do.
A hard retake ahead of them, especially with Gridlock locking them out of the site, as those track stingers will certainly slow you down and leave you in quite an awkward position. And this entire round is awkward right now. They're swinging out, taking fights towards the doorways, but being domed as PSK will find another clean pick, dropping Psycho out and leaving it all up to Muzi, the human Uzi. He knows how to slaughter, and he's quick on the draw, handy with the steal as he pops off not 1 but 2, but time rapidly ticking down. He's got 5 seconds, and his only opportunity is to run away, save the KD, and get out of there. The round itself is gone. At this point, Team Liquid will pick it up as they'll snatch away another round into the game here, starting off with a good foot forward into the quality of play we've seen here on Coastline.
Heading into round number 3, and this one is proving to be just as entertaining as the last that we saw. Team 1, of course, taking a 7-3 victory over FaZe last time we saw Coastline today, but it was not sufficient to take them over the line. If you've just joined us, if you didn't see that first matchup, first of all, where were you? Where were you? Because it was massive. It came down to a last-second 1v1 in the 15th round of the 3rd map. It was unbelievable. And FaZe were the ones who took it and got themselves through to the upper bracket final. And this one, I'm sure, is going to be just as entertaining. Team Liquid coming in with 2 plants and 2 successful attacks to begin with here. And this is great for Liquid. We've seen them play Coastline once so far this season. We saw them lose it. It was that matchup against Team 1. 7-3 on the day to Team 1, and Team Liquid, I think they were on a little bit of an off day. They never really got themselves into it, never really seemed to get up to speed and challenge. And I think NIP might just have a little bit of a surprise in store if they're expecting to see a similar result out of Team Liquid here.
Oh my, would you look at this as well? A poll that will certainly leave Jenna a little bit unhappy. 38% of people believing we'll see a Liquid lockdown here on Coastline. The 2 rounds they've already bagged will certainly tell a bit of a different tale, but it did seem like the majority was in favour of NIP. 62% repping the Ninjas at this point, Tim. They'll certainly have their Jimmy Jams on at home, ready to tuck this one in as a beautiful opening game.
15 seconds into the action phase of round 3 then, and we can see the man behind the reception desk, Pino. He's ready to take some bookings. He's going to try and check a few people out, let alone check them in, and that will be exactly what he does, opening things up onto PSK. And once again, Pino just showing absolute dominance in those entry battles, taking round 2 and round 3. He just needs his team to start building on that man advantage that he's giving them, always giving them a boost, a kickstart into the round, always making things that little bit easier for them. Quite often playing at 5 versus 4 when Pino is on the table, because he is so consistent, and the more that he plays in that main reception, the more and more difficult it becomes for Team Liquid to make any real progress into the map, because it's an area that has to be dealt with, because it is so influential. Soft walls surround it, and you can make shots all the way through into the Blue Bar and Sunrise area, so really does need to be taken care of.
And obviously taking care into the round wasn't the memo that PSK had received. He was punished early on. He's not going to be careful, and he'll pay the price because of it, dropping Team Liquid's manpower down to a 4-player fight. leaving them at a bit of a disadvantage here going into the third round up against NIP. We've got 1 minute and 25 seconds left on the clock as well, but no further contact has been found. And NIP, they're looking a little bit jittery. They're hyped up right now, looking like they've been taking some of the in. They've had their coffees, they're running around, they're looking for scraps. They want to get into an encounter. They're ready to go toe-to-toe and actually lay down the law into these firefights. And I am a fan of the angles that are being opened up here. Nesk, a nice little cheeky position to peek from, looking to try and find a frag early on. Good use of the Dockerby as well, as the mobile phones are going to start ringing. We'll see a peek coming through. Sexy Cake playing off the audio cues, and he'll be queuing up success for Liquid as he gets another frag, dashing down Psycho and bringing it back into a 4 versus 4 with 40 seconds left to work with here into the third round.
The smoke is still in place inside of the pool entrance there, but I just need to give a second to shout out that teamwork there from Nesk and Sexy Cake. Beautiful work together there. In comes the Dockerby call, and Sexy Cake is just ready to pounce and get himself a kill. In will come another, and Kamikaze will be onto Nesk this time around. So we find ourselves now in a 3 versus 4 in favour of NIP, but Kamikaze will be taken out, and here comes that plant once again. It doesn't matter that PSK is off the card. Muzi, the human Uzi, he moves in to try and take down Palu, but will be unsuccessful. Palu challenged on the trade from Pino, and that will be diffuser active, and it is all down to Sexy Cake. 1 versus 2 here, but he does have the advantage of getting himself outside and has the overwatch on the diffuser, so he can just hold an angle now and just pre-fire, try and keep them away from it. It's unlikely that they will stick this disable whilst they know that Sexy Cake is moving around. They do have the advantage of a heartbeat scanner here, NIP, so they can feed that information in. They know exactly where he's playing, and they're looking for a peek. It will come out, and there's the fire from Julio, but unsuccessfully. Jump out 1, jump out 2, but absolutely not today. Sexy Cake shuts them both down. That's a 1 versus 2. That's a clutch from Sexy Cake, and that's round 3 to Team Liquid, and they are looking dominant so far.
Oh, mate. Sexy Cake, the Wickets gang, man. Back in the Ramsey, Tim. He busts out the blade and slashes his way through a man. And you know what else he's cut through? The confidence of NIP. The ninjas, they look like they are tucked up in bed, but for all the wrong reasons. Not because the day is done and they've decimated, because they're getting destroyed. They are being absolutely schooled here, and Sexy Cake is the teacher. The man is wearing a nice tweed jacket. He's got the little arms, the little elbow patches, Tim, and he is teaching them a lesson.
We're seeing, as you say, this is, you know, class is in session right now, and the lessons are just being handed out by Team Liquid. They are on the attacking side, which we do tend to see favoured here on Coastline, but there's going to be a lot of work for NIP to do. The problem that they face now is if Team Liquid come in here at the half 5-1, for example, yes, NIP move on to the quote-unquote favoured attacking side, but you've got a Team Liquid that only need 2 rounds in the bag to get them over the line. And look at some of them figures being put up. We've got Nesk on 5 and 3, Sexy Cake 3 and 1, Palu on 3, and they're all starting to get themselves running. And whilst the kills are coming in on the opposite side, Pino, Muzi, Julio, 3 apiece, they're just not keeping themselves alive, and that's the big problem. The survivability for Team Liquid is something that I have shouted out all season. We've seen it from Nesk, we've seen it from Palu in particular. Both of them have got about a 60% survival rate, 50 to... It's absolutely ridiculous the amount of rounds that those two survive in.
Honestly, Tim, I'm watching this game with a smile at this point. The first series, you know, that was tantalizing. That was something else. That was like a child watching a sparkler. It's just exciting and enthralling. Now we get into this, and already it's just carnage from Liquid. At every turn, we see show-stopping plays. It's close, but it's just Liquid that are always going that extra punch above, and it's ridiculous when you think about it, right? Especially with current form of both of these two teams taken into consideration. This is really a big result. Getting these first 3 rounds so dominantly on your attack on a map like Coastline between these two sides for Liquid, that's huge. It shows that coming into the major, although there was a slight slump towards the end of the season, that's all it was. It was a slight slump. It wasn't a downward trajectory that's going to leave them in the dumps, right? Because right now, they're raising back up. They're standing tall. They look like they're about 6'2" with the way they're playing it, Tim.
They certainly do, and NIP, you know, they look like they are struggling to get into this one, but it's something we've seen from them through the season. They do fight their way back in, not only in rounds where they leave it until late, they've done it within games as well, so I'm sure there is still plenty more fight to come from the Ninjas in Pyjamas just yet. But Team Liquid, they are certainly in the ascendancy here. They are back onto attacking Kitchen. They won this one in round 2. They've had such a focus towards getting that diffuser down. First 3 rounds, we've had 3 plants. Julio it will be this time, coming out with that NIP opener, and that's been the same for the last 3 rounds now, but it just hasn't translated to kills on the board. Ultimately, they haven't been able to shut the round out, but with a second kill coming into Nesk there, will that be enough to start pushing them towards the finish line? Palu has something to say about it, shutting Julio down. That leaves us now 4 versus 3. Diffuser is in hand, PSK. Safe hands at that. We know how good he is at getting that diffuser down, and so far 3 rounds, 3 plants coming in from Team Liquid, and they are certainly building an efficient attack, shall we say, behind getting that diffuser down.
What's ridiculous as well is it feels more like this fight just being a game of swinging in and windmilling. It's not even about the bigger picture of the round. It just feels like they're trying to prove a point of who's the more dominant team with the peaks and pushes we've seen so far. It's been incredible. It feels like all of these players have had a long day down at Spoons and they've come out windmilling like an Englishman looking for a scrap. But talking of a scrap, Pino, the Punisher himself, poised for perfection as they all run in. They had an appointment with the doc and he thought he'd treat all of his patients at once. Through the smoke, he busts open their lips and leaves them laid out on the DECK, cleaning up. The doc has thrown them into disarray to get the opening round for NIP. That's a banger.
Dishing out some serious anesthetic there. Pino will shut the round out and just temper the aggression and the passion that we are seeing out of Team Liquid. And will that round be enough to slow them down? Will that big barbed wire in their path that just means they have to take the foot off the gas a little bit here? Or will Liquid come out absolutely nonplussed and just continue as they were? And right now, Pino, he has been a real strong link in the chain of NIP at the minute. He's getting the openers, he's getting the big frags within the round. He now finds himself 6 and 3. Julio up there with him on 5 and 4. Psycho very quiet in the game so far. We could just do with seeing a little bit more from him and Kamikaze potentially, just to help NIP fight their way back into this one. I would suggest if NIP can get another successful defense on the board, they won't see this as too much of a negative. If they come in 2-4 at the half, heading onto the attack, I think they'll be reasonably happy with that.
God damn. Didn't they need to at least get those rounds to work with, though, as otherwise you're going to be going into a really quite worrying second half of the series. And Liquid, although they've dropped 1 round there off the back of all players charging into the choke point and getting overpowered, I don't think that's the sort of mishap that's going to happen many times throughout a series, especially not here on Coastline. Liquid, mistakes are made, chalk it up for what it was, and then come back in with the cleanup. Get out that gigantic cloth and start mopping up NIP here like a cup of water that's been knocked over onto your desk, Tim. You don't want it leaving a stain.
And worse still, you don't want it knocking over onto the keyboard and doing some serious electrical damage, Jackie.
Oh, mate. I mean, talking of electrics already, I think there's been sparks flying, right? Especially from Sexy Cake into the series. If that man is a keyboard, he is damp.
Damp but still functioning. I'll be honest, Jackie, most of the time I'm with you. I'm not sure where you were going on that one.
I don't know. I saw the opportunity, Tim. I've grasped it with both hands.
You went for it.
You know, sometimes you just got to take the roads that are dealt to you.
Can't fault you for that one. And right now, Team Liquid are taking a downhill path. They have got themselves 3-1 up and they are picking up speed here. It's like the brakes have broken and they cannot control this runaway train right now. They are absolutely steamrolling their way over NIP. The question is, can NIP get in there and can they fix the brakes while this train is still moving? Can they apply them? Can they slow down this Team Liquid attack right now? Out comes the E1D scan. That is going to lock the defenders in place for a couple of seconds. Pino, he's on the shotgun and looking to challenge the Cool Vibe stairs though, and that will force Team Liquid to dip straight back away. They were looking for the little sneak attack up the rear stairs there, but Pino has done his job and he has kept them at bay for now. Out comes another Lion scan. They're going to try this one again. Unsuccessfully, the nade will not manage to find its mark out because the nitro, but it's a bad throw and will be taken out. But it doesn't matter as Kamikaze's smoke grenade will get the first. Muzi on the second. Seriously helped by Pino there, and the kills start to rain in now. 4 versus 1. We find ourselves NIP on the board, and PSK has a sliver of health and has no health anymore as he gets shut down by Psycho. Just as I call it coming into this round that we needed to see more from Psycho and Kamikaze, they deliver and they shut themselves up. A couple of kills, 3 between them on the round, and that's a round for NIP. 3-2 now, and that steam that Team Liquid had, that momentum, it's been cut in half.
Oh, mate. It's gone from a liquid to a solid, and now it's a gas. And at that point, there's no coming back. Because NIP, they've woken up and they are going to be gassed up. They'll be getting everyone hyped on the TeamSpeak, living with the momentum and trying to lord this newfound faith over Team Liquid. Play with the prowess you've started to bring out. They're looking a lot more confident into the peaks, to the way they're playing it as well, putting down full stops at the end of every play, denying entries for Liquid, and actually finding some of their own as well. They're not leaving it up to the late round to have to try and spin a clutch to win it. Instead, they're winning the battle in the early round. They're winning in the mid round. They're hitting their shots, and Pino, he has come online as well. 7 frags to his name, starting to rinse his way through them one after another right now. And Tim, with the way it's been going, it looks more competitive than ever. This is shaping up to be an even split at the end of the half here.
Anybody who thought they were going to come in here and see a 7-0, 7-1, well, you've not been watching LATAM for long enough is what I would suggest, because that's not how we roll here in LATAM. We like those 11 and 12 round thrillers. We often have teams do this where they come in with a slow start and then just completely turn the game on its head. It is absolutely nothing new to us. And as I said, I promised it at the beginning of the day. I promised it at the beginning of the match, and we are going to see hard-fought game after hard-fought game here. We have got plenty more of what we saw between Team 1 and FaZe Clan. There is a lot more of that coming over the next 3 days, and this matchup so far just proves exactly that.
God damn, it's been exhilarating. And again, we're in for a treat. It's a best of 3 as well. Don't get caught thinking that this series is going to be wrapped up anytime soon, because I wouldn't be surprised if this was another tale of 3 maps, with how close Team Liquid and NIP have been throughout the season, their historic games that we've seen, because they really have been making history against one another. And right now, it seems like Palu is attempting to try and make Pino history. If he can at least find an angle to rain down a single bullet onto his noggin, find that bald spot, and connect and bludgeon him. He's not actually able to get the opportunity, but opportunities are presenting itself back over to Pino with a cardiac sensor, as he will spot out another player up through the floorboards, at least relay that information to the rest of the team as they begin to readjust around. Obviously, 5 players alive on either side. At this point, we haven't seen an opening frag come in just yet, and there's still 1 minute and 40 seconds to work with. Team Liquid are moving in though, Tim. Nesk starting to cover a bit more ground. He's got freedom here, and he's also got confidence. And if Nesk has confidence, you want to hightail as far away from him as physically possible, because he will teach you a lesson.
Pino just desperately waiting there for the man to move onto the destructible surface above him. Obviously, he's spotted him out. He's fed that information back to his team, but unable to do anything whilst he remains on that hard surface. And you can see the challenge coming in here towards Cool Vibes. Psycho's being Sorry, it was Palu being challenged there from multiple angles. Julio moving up. He knows the man is there. He will hit the pre-fire and get the kill, but Moringa, it will be to shut down Psycho, who was challenged simultaneously. And we find ourselves in a 4 versus 4. Muzi looking to rotate up the stairs and just taking out those track stingers. Pino finally gets his man. Nesk moves onto the destructible surface, and Pino is there, ready, waiting. Joe's wide open to take a snap at him, and that's exactly what happens as he shuts him down with the nitro, and we find ourselves 4 versus 3. 3, and NIP, they are on the verge of leveling this one up. Team Liquid came out strong with the first 3 rounds in the bag, but NIP, they've managed to string some momentum together now, find some consecutive wins, and they are looking at taking this half even Stevens.
Although, they've still got to bypass the smoke, and there's also the prepared play as well from Sexy Cake on the Thatcher. He planted the Claymore, and he'll still want a little bit more, it seems, as although it's a single frag, he's thirsting for even more domination here as the push comes through. It's a 3 versus 3. Carnage being overthrown as we see the downs onto 2 players at once. The cleanup from Sexy Cake charging in with the shotgun, but NIP, they'll pick it up off the back of the clock. They're able to come away and snatch that one, claiming victory and tying up the scoreline. 3 rounds a pop at the end of the half. That's the way the cookie is going to crumble, and it sends us through with the scoreline being tied, hanging in the balance into the second half of Coastline. This game is so close, Tim. You can cut the tension in the air with a knife.
It's exactly what I commented on at the beginning of the game, Jackie, and that is the way these 2 teams have been playing for very late round executes. We see them both having one of the highest average round times in the league for a reason, and we've just seen the problem with that reason right there. Coming in, there was a last-second push to get PSK on the diffuser. He gets downed, and then ultimately there is no time to shape up any alternative. Sexy Cake just has to go in there for the kills, and I know there are many factors that come into why and when a team push that late into the round, and it's not as simple as just walking in and putting the diffuser down. That's not always the case, but they need to be working harder, and I would dare say we're going to see the same from NIP, and I will be able to make the same comment about them given what we've seen from them through the season, and that is they need to be getting into position to do that sooner if they can, because it leaves them more opportunity to play that plan B rather than just being shut down because plan A doesn't go to plan.
10 seconds to insertion.
You got to have those backup plans. You've got to have room to fall back on. I have a bigger picture in store, Tim. And the bigger picture of this game is already starting to come into the back of my mind. I'm starting to speculate and wonder how this is going to go. I think we're in for an absolute treat with this series, Tim. The quality of Siege we've already seen throughout the night, especially with this being the second game. And then we also have the lower bracket BO3 as well, mate. All of it just looks so damn tantalizing, honestly.
Well, this, we've been saying this for weeks. We have got some of the best teams in the world here in LATAM. There is absolutely no question about it. And the best 4 have made it through to the major. And sort of like a parent looking proudly on children, I was there. I would love to see these guys go up against the regional best from around the world and see just exactly how they face up. Unfortunately, that can't be the case. The LAN major, not possible at the minute. Obviously, safety comes first. Absolute correct decision, but it's just one of those. They just seem to have hit form at exactly the right time, and I would love to have seen it. I'd love what battles we would have had with the inter-regional styles, and these teams coming up against teams like SSG, against teams like Rogue. It really would have been an absolute pleasure.
We just got to look forward to the future, Tim, as the future of Siege looks incredibly bright with all the talent that's been coming up towards the top, and potentially these 2 teams as well being some of the shining lights. The lumens they have are really up there. If they were a bulb, they would probably be too bright. You'd have to invest into a lampshade.
You'd certainly need some sunglasses or something, Jack. Maybe them little goggles that you would get on a sunbed or something that just keeps the rays down. Moringa getting the kill there. Ness following up with another. And this round is going all in the favour of Team Liquid. And there's always the potential for that to happen when they got onto the attack. Very good previously. But that strong defensive phase from them could be the undoing of NIP. When we saw Liquid struggle previously on this map against Team 1, they didn't have a single successful defensive round. The rounds they won were all on the attack, and right now we're seeing exactly why. They're coming in strong. Kamikaze down to half health here. He's 1 versus 4. This is a matter of time on this round. This is job done, and there it is. Final kill comes in. He can't make any impact on the round. Sexy Cake it will be who shuts things down, and that's going to be round for Team Liquid. 4-3 now. They get the slight advantage. NIP need to start finding some successful defenses soon. They don't want to let this one run away. 5-3 would not look pretty for them.
No, it really is rough. At that point, obviously, you're leaving yourself with such an awkward disadvantage to build off. and it all does start to crumble away. That's also when Liquid tend to kick things up a gear. They'll play into overdrive, and you do really just ride on an instance of, if they get themselves to 5 rounds, what stops the potential dynamic duo of Palu and Nesk just popping off for 1 round and say Nesk gets a 2k, Palu gets a 2k, and then at that point you're already down 2 players, you're struggling to come back, you're staggered. That is the scary factor with this team, is in any single round, no matter the deficit it seems like Liquid take, they've been able to bounce back like a trampoline multiple times throughout the season. And going into the games tonight, they've just felt a little bit quicker into some of the rounds. We've seen NIP at least keeping it relatively close, but it feels like they're slightly slower when it comes to the draw.
That's exactly it, and it's been a problem that has plagued NIP throughout the season, and if Team Liquid can start racking up defences here, it is not going to be pretty for them. It could run away from them very quickly, but as I said previously, Team Liquid, they have struggled on the defence before now on Coastline, so, NIP need to come in and take advantage of that, but losing those early fights, finding themselves 2 versus 5, 1 versus 5, it is them in doing that. And if we look at this lineup, we've got 10 players in this server who can basically win games single-handed. That is the level of talent that we are faced with here. There is no two ways about it. They are 2 incredible sides. We've got Palu. He's going to be playing upstairs this time around on Legion. He's getting the goo mines out there. He's just going to try and keep himself active in Penthouse Theatre VIP area for as long as possible. Try and shut down that area. Obviously, when you're looking at an attack onto Kitchen, quite often we want to get that vertical control of VIP. And the same goes for Sunrise and Blue Bar as well. Get VIP, get Hooker, and just start locking it down, getting those vertical angles, because right now we can see we've got defenders playing in Kitchen and Service, we've got defenders playing in Sunrise, so you want to get that whole area upstairs taken care of, locked down, and then you want to be getting those vertical destructors in there to clean things out. But talking of cleaning things out, Psycho will clean Power out there, and that is going to be 5 versus 4. Good opener, and opens up the vertical angles into Kitchen that I was talking about. The challenges do come through, they work both ways, but that's a second for Psycho onto Nest this time. The Jaeger off the board, and that now allows the horizontal push to start moving through Service and Kitchen towards Sunrise. It is the alternative to going in through the pool entrance, but right now no alternative to Psycho is needed. 3 on the round, and he's hunting an ace here.
Oh, mate. Psycho looking like Patrick Bateman with the way he's been playing it, coming up with dubs into every single one of these encounters as he's just picking them all to pieces. Quite literally coming through like a human axe at this point. Chopped his way through everyone that dares to peek him. Finally, he gets nailed into a coffin as Moringa will come out swinging with the SMG, but it's up to him to save the bacon of Liquid now. Trapped in a horrendous position, so many angles to peek from, and the ninjas will overpower him. CZ75 going to slap him about the place and take him down with a critical strike into the back of the noggin as he will meet his maker, and the scoreline will get close once again. Tied back up, 4 rounds a pop here. No one taking a lead. NIP keeping Liquid in check and keeping us guessing with how this opening game is going to go on Coastline. But man, I think at this point, right, you've got to look at it and just think, what is going to happen? Because you've got so many players in NIP that are popping off. They're effectively passing the baton between one another. Pino with the outrageous 3k where he just slaughtered them all through smoke like some kind of madman. Psycho as well, gunning for an ace quite literally into that round and nearly getting it. You've got Muzi, you've got Julio, all of these players, Tim, that we're seeing their names in that kill feed each and every round. All of them playing well. No one slacking. There's no dead weight tonight. I'd say out of all of the 10 players on the server, this is looking to be a best of 3 to remember.
Everybody's fighting hard right now, but it's just, this match right now is begging for one player to just absolutely pop off. And I look across the line there, and Muzi on 5 stands out to me. We know exactly how good Muzi can be, how dangerous he can be, especially on the Ash. And right now, it's just begging for him to come in and get a big 4k in a round and just tip this game on its head and really start propelling NIP towards that finish line. But the same could be said of Nesk, of Palu. It just needs a big roam from one of those guys just to shut down half of the NIP team and just really start pushing forward. But at 4-all, this one almost looks inevitably destined for overtime to me, Jackie.
Oh, mate. Honestly, I think it would give it a disservice if it didn't actually go to OT with the quality of play we've seen coming through from every single player on the server at this point. And man, we'll have to wait and see if round 9 will give us a bit of a clearer idea of how the game is going to go. NIP, will they show up once again? Will they come through with the incredible attack and be able to clean up Liquid frag after frag? Or will there be a strong defense mounted here into round 9 from the Liquid Lunatics? We have another poll, and as you can see, based off the halftime results, it seems like this one is far too close to call, nearly being again another 50-50 split for the day. It's 54% in favor of Liquid, only slightly ahead of NIP.
Such a tough one to call, and we have an early contact there in the first minute. Psycho, it is once again shutting down Palu. Exactly the same entry battle that we saw in round number 8. Round 9 goes in exactly the same direction. Pino shuts down Nesk, and this is a little bit more what we expected. As I said, Team Liquid struggled on the defense here last time around, failing to get themselves a single defensive win against Team 1, completely shut out of things. And right now, IP starting to find the feet, starting to get rolling, starting to push into this match, starting to turn on that steamroller and drive it ever so slowly but ever so intently towards Team Liquid here, and they are looking to just close them down and leave them flattened, ready for that second map.
Make them look like a pancake and punish them in the meantime. That's what they're hoping for, and with Nesk and Palu both down, the defiant duo of Liquid, it means that the round will be a little bit easier going further forward. They've still got an awful lot of time to work with as well, and this is vintage NIP. They will make full use of the clock. They won't overextend. They're not going to run in just because they've got an early advantage and they think that they can smooth sail towards the bitter end. They will take their time, run that clock down to the last 25 seconds, then execute out. And at that point, that's where the question is raised. NIP, they had a couple mistakes off the back of playing in that manner during the regular season. Will that happen again here into round 9? And can you come back from a 3 versus 5 deficit? Is that a possibility for Liquid? Will they be poised on the angles they're playing? Waiting, lurking on the corner with a shotty. PSK ready for contact, but Sexy Cake tries to just go bold. Instead, he swings in. They'll charge through though, going through the smoke, trying to peek through. Ooh, overpowered on the close quarters contact. Moringa not able to massacre, instead just struck and down. And again, everyone is going to fall over. There is blood on the neon towards Cool Vibes as we see the final kill being picked up by Pino, ready on the pre-fire as he comes round the corner and smashes his head in.
Sexy Kid last alive there, and Pino just slicing himself a piece, and that will be round 5 on the board. Sorry, round 9 on the board, leaving us 5-4 now in favour of NIP. And at each step, you just feel like it's NIP's advantage each time now. As we get towards the late round here, you feel if anybody can win this in regulation time inside of 12, that it is going to be NIP on the attack. But Team Liquid doing exactly what Team Liquid do and fighting hard to keep themselves in this one. They certainly won't roll over on the defense. There will be no easy rounds for NIP here, and they need to make sure that they remain focused. Now, interestingly, we've got the Montagna being brought along, and is that going to be a big factor here with Kamikaze just causing some disruption with that gigantic shield? Are Liquid going to have a plan to deal with that, or is it going to result in maybe a quick plant inside of service, or maybe just complete and utter disarray within the defensive site?
It could cause quite a big panic here, Tim. Everyone could be on edge. They could be startled. They could be confused. There's room for this attack to actually be quite a spicy one, potentially. Major Monty coming out, repping the big boy with the shield. Let's see if this thick man will be able to overpower them and utilize that extra chunk, put the weight into it, and bully Liquid going into this round, giving NIP their 6th and getting them just 1 round away from closing it down here on Coastline. Or, of course, on the flip side, it's a matter of, can they tie it back up? Will it go 5-5 and continue on in the manner which we've seen throughout the game? Because, Tim, it does look like an abacus. It looks like a metronome. It's just and forth the entire time.
Oh, this game is absolutely certainly on a rubber band jacket, and like you say, just bouncing back and forth, but NIP, they are going to be keen here to come out and try and get this attacking round on the board, and that's going to be a great start for them. Julia finds Moringa completely unaware and will put shots into the spine that will leave him unable to contest the rest of this round. 5 versus 4, Mozzie off the board and Nitro along with him, and that could be a seriously big opening kill for Julio there. NIP, they need to use that momentum and they need to continue pushing forward to this site. We can see the Monty is now making his way in. Kamikaze is going to feed back as much information as he can, but he leaves his feet open there. Sexy Cake just choosing not to take the shots onto the backside of the Monty there. He wouldn't have been able to secure the kill, I don't think. It was such a fine angle that even one bullet of damage would have moved the Monty out of reach, but it does beg the question, would that have been sufficient to maybe allow PSK to put him down with a Toxic Babe canister that one tick sooner? So Sexy Cake certainly making a choice there, but we will see whether that comes back to bite them in the late round if this Monty is particularly effective.
Will it bite them in the bottom? Right now, it does feel like Liquid, you know, they've taken a first-class ticket. They've boarded the struggle bus, and they cannot find the exit. They're ringing the bell, but the driver won't pull over and let them off, and they're riding this the whole way towards the end of the map here. As NIP, they've been going from strength to strength. They're winning out in the 1v1s. They're winning across in pretty much all of the gunfights we're starting to see, and now they've got the extra added potential of the Monty as well to just charge his way in, effectively just bully the players, but he's overpowered. Slapped in the side of the face, drops the shield and gets shot up into the legs, dropping him. He'll have to invest in some new genes as those have been ripped, and he's also lost his life into the round, bringing it back into a 4 versus 4. 40 seconds on the clock as well. Liquid, you have an opportunity again now. You're tidying the round up, and they really wanted to clean house on this one, but Pino has other ideas in mind. Punishes as he comes through with a critical kill. A further one is added as well, as maybe that was the catalyst they needed, but the catalyst doesn't work well. As Palu, from up top, drops down and cleans up, bringing it back into a 2-on-2 clutch now. A post-plant situation with Psycho having the entire round balancing on his shoulders, trying to find a good angle to work from. 1v2, they're going to play together. They're both going to peek at the same time, it seems, playing off one another's contact. He gets the read. If he swung, he would have been open and left himself opportunity to be overpowered, and that's just what he does. He peeks again, exposes himself on the left-hand side of the face. Palu was ready, finds the flick, shuts him down to him, and keeps the game going. 5-5, Liquid win on the retake.
I mean, it's never going to be ideal, is it? You find yourself in a 1 versus 2, no matter what advantage you have with the diffuser being activated, your eyes just flick to the scoreboard, and you know that it's Nesk and Palu that you are up against. Never going to be an easy one, and they're easily picked out by the operators that they use and the kills that have rained in from their locations, and I think that can play as much to the minds of a player as anything else can, but ultimately they managed to shut that one down there, and now Liquid bring themselves back to 5-5, and we are at least going to see all 12 rounds on coastline here between Liquid and NIP, and we are right in the midst of another absolute whirlwind of a fixture here, Jackie.
Oh, mate. This is a worldie. This is a big one, right? This is what we were talking about in the sense of huge games that we have been gifted here with the Major. The first semi-final, spectacular. Everything about it was absolutely incredible and just so damn historic. It was an iconic series in the manner it finished, whereas this game, it's only just getting started. It's the opening map again. It's 5-5. It's close. It's back and forth. It doesn't matter if one side takes the lead because the other team is there right on their heels, nipping to try and clutch it out and bring it back. And that's what we've witnessed the entire way through. At this point, this is finally when one side will actually have to take a bit of a lead. It's a matter of who will get that 6th round under their belt first, who is at least going to drag themselves into a position where overtime is on the cards. And maybe we might have an opening OT here on Coastline. That is going to be the big question mark floating on round 11. Who gets there first? Liquid, can you bounce back on your defense? You got any tricks under your sleeves? Is there some magic we haven't seen, Tim?
There's always magic possible from these two sides. There are many magicians at play here, Jackie, and they've got card tricks. They've got doves up their sleeves. They've got endless scarves ready to produce and just to dazzle the eye with illusions and push rounds over the line. But right now, who knows who is going to be the more successful and deceitful and manage to get this one over the line, manage to take the eye of their opponent away from the ball and just deceive them enough to get the round on the board, because there is absolutely nothing to separate these two on the scoreboard. 5-0 we find ourselves, and right now Liquid, they're going to be trying to defend Blue Bar and Sunrise once again. Generally speaking, in terms of attacks, we see two popular attacks towards this site. One we saw very successfully used by Liquid in the first half. We've got a challenge on Hooker Door here, and Julio just looking to close the man out, but will be taken out on the Capitao. That's going to be Sexy Cake, and Nesk will follow it up with one of his own team. Liquid looking at being the team that gets the opportunity to close things out here, and right now either of the attacks have got very difficult for NIP as Palu shuts down Muze. Is there one to be found for Pino? No, he has to dip away from the fight there. Palu, he will keep going. We can see he's just using the drone hole there, Muze, to try and get any advantage he can, but right now Liquid, they've decided to dip back away to site, and Kamikaze on the blitz, he's going to be heading in for that default plant spot, but with only 2 left alive, any plant is going to be extremely difficult unless it is preceded by a number of kills.
Yep, and the only kill that they're going to find is on to Kamikaze, as the man, instead, at this point, is just dead. Dropped down to the ground, it's all on Pino. Taking a peek from the top rope as he will try and slay. He'll find a nice little frag from relatively far away as he gets the snapshot adjustment onto the head and leaves him feeling quite blue. Busts out the sledge as well, doing the renovation towards the hatch. He's got about 45 seconds left to work with as well, so no reason to rush in. He's had 12 frags into the game. He's been quite handy. He's been clean on the kills, so the likelihood of him winning this, fairly small. The likelihood of him at least doing some damage and really forcing Team Liquid into an awkward position where maybe they start to second-guess themselves, it's up there. He could at least punish somewhat. That's a bit awkward, though. Coming off the pull, trying to get rid of the goo mine that was stuck in his fire. He eventually goes back and pulls it out. And of course, wastes a nice amount of time. And from the 45 seconds he did have, now he's only got 14. And at this point, he's going to be running in. All eyes will be honed on him. And it will just be a couple of stray bullets to end him. That's if he even wants to swing as well. Just save the KD, 12-6, keep it moving into the next round.
There's a conversation going on there, very unfortunate. Loses out to Moringa in the very last second on the shotgun there, even though he was ready for it. But largely, there's a conversation going on in the NIP comms there. That's exactly what we've just seen. They've taken that as an opportunity for a little unofficial timeout and just burn that round. Allow Team Liquid on to the match point, but hopefully for NIP, they've got themselves a plan in place to come out here and take round number 12 to get themselves through and onto that overtime phases so they can keep battling on map 1.
We've got some replays coming up from that round as well. So let's get the spectacles on and take a look at these. Oh man. The shoe shot him, nearly blowing him off at the ankle. That was quite a little spicy one there. Nice little zoom on that.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Loving the zoom in. Absolutely love the zoom in. Just offering that extra level of detail on those replays for us so we can really see the fine margins that we're working with here in Siege. And talking about fine margins, that is exactly what we see at the top of your screen on the scoreboard. 6 to Team Liquid, 5 to NIP. And right now, this one is on a knife's edge as to who takes it. This is the first map of a potential 3. It is best of 3, so if the team, whoever is successful here, can come out and claim the second as well, then there will be no need for a third. But right now, Jackie, I don't see this going any other way.
5 seconds.
Oh no, mate. It's definitely looking like it is going to be going towards a full series here with the way it's been played, and potentially it could be going towards an overtime as well if NIP can just bite back once again. They've been able to do it the entire time. It doesn't really feel like a team has been 2 rounds ahead throughout this whole map. It's always swaying back and forth every single round and leaving us guessing, scratching our heads about what will finally be the team to take a good solid lead and be able to walk away with a victory. Team Liquid, they're set up and poised for that. They're teetering on the edge of being able to at least get success here into the opening map in the series, but that's if they win this round. If they drop it, we're going to OT, and we'll see if NIP can best them in an overtime scenario.
So far, so good, as Palu will open things up with a kill onto Julio. That's the gridlock off the board, so that will also make it very difficult for NIP to close down any of those rotations unless that has already been done. So it just allows a little bit more freedom for Team Liquid here. They can drop down to the underside, knowing that they can potentially move back up those staircases and challenge back onto the flanks. But that is obviously on the presumption that the track stingers have not been deployed yet. We can see they are not on the main stairs. Great view from the drone of Muzi there, just confirming that for us. So that's something that NIP need to be very aware of, especially with a player like Nesk just loitering around that reception desk at the minute. He's filing some papers. He's pretending to do a bit of work down there, Jackie, but he's waiting to do the real work up on the top floor as he looks to move upstairs and get onto the flank in the late round. He's just biding his time at the minute, and he's going to wait for this challenge at the exact right moment. And we know if any player can time that perfectly, it is a man like Nesk.
Issue is, Tim, all work and no play makes NIP a dull team at the minute as they are struggling into the round. They're already down when it comes to the firefights as well. You've lost Julio. You need to get amped up and utilize that momentum against Liquid here. If you lose this round, it will be a 7-5, and it will be a Liquid lockdown on the opening map in the series. They've also got them cornered, Tim. They know their locations, and they are peeking in. PSK wanting to do some damage with the shotty instead, switches to the sidearm, but it won't work as well for slaughtering. Palu, in the meantime, though, will get the trade back as he buckles Muzi the Human Uzi. Clearly, that gun has jammed into the round, and it's all left on Pino. He can't do it. He's overwhelmed. Out through the windows, they're coming out of the walls as they sprint towards him. Mozzie finding the final frag and ending this one here on Coastline. It's a Team Liquid win, 7-5 on the opening map in our second semi-final.
A damp finish for NIP as it was raining Team Liquid at the end of that one on Coastline. An unusual rainy day here in Ibiza, but Sexy Cake just piling out of the window to pick up the last kill there and just raining pain